Just before President-elect Donald Trump assumes the presidency, well, actually, he assumed it a while ago, but before he is officially inaugurated as President of the United States, President Obama and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau have joined together to permanently ban offshore drilling for fossil fuels in Arctic waters, in yet another completely logical move that really should not be controversial, which has, of course, angered the globalist establishment fossil fuel oligarchs of the American right. This ban applies not only to Arctic waters, but also some waters in the Atlantic Ocean as indefinitely off limits for oil and gas leasing. And the logistics are slightly different in Canada versus in the US. So in Canada, there's a moratorium subject to periodic review. In the US, President Obama has actually used a provision in a 1953 law to ban offshore leases permanently. It's called the 1953 Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act. And that statute says that, quote, the President of the United States may from time to time withdraw from disposition any of the unleased lands of the Outer Continental Shelf. Now, the understandable and completely logical concern, given how we know American politics works, is that as soon as Donald Trump is president of the United States, he will just undo this. But it appears that this provision has the language and the legal precedent to withstand Trump coming in and just reversing it. The language of the statute used to justify the ban doesn't provide for any authority for subsequent presidents to cancel or to unban these waters from future oil and gas leases. And even if Trump did want to challenge it, Pat, it would probably be tied up in court for years. No matter what, he could try to challenge this, but it could be 4 or even more years before it was ever determined what the path forward would be in a court of law.
He's also trying to put this stream protection rule to limit coal mining near waterways, and we would have to see if Trump undoes that too.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit more about coal because although Trump has talked bigly about wanting more coal development, the market situation in terms of oil, gas, natural gas, and coal pricing right now does not really set up a scenario where we would see a huge explosion in coal usage. But yes, Trump has also talked about being in favor of that. As far as the Atlantic Ocean waters that are also removed from what are being called drillable areas, range from being off the coast of New England in the Atlantic Ocean right here, all the way south to Virginia. Now, of particular relevance to the incoming administration, I want to remind you that in 2011, on behalf of ExxonMobil, the incoming plutocratic Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Exxon's CEO, signed an agreement with Russia for drilling in the Arctic that could be valued at up to $300 billion. To be super clear, if you look at a map of the Arctic, it's sort of divided up. Different countries have claims to different parts of it. Of course, the Rex Tillerson deal was going to be in an area that Russia has jurisdiction of. And here we're talking about the areas that Canada and the United States respectively have jurisdiction over. But this is no small thing because Donald Trump has vowed this domestic energy revolution. He's filling his cabinet with nominees who are very much opposed to all of the environmental and climate change actions that President Obama has taken. And he's also said he wants to open up more federal land. This is Donald Trump, more federal land to oil and natural gas production to try to boost the United States. These types of regulations and declarations from President Obama on his way out may actually have a really significant impact on what Donald Trump is able to do. Now, back to reality for a second after the good news. A cynical perspective, a skeptical perspective, maybe a rational perspective is that unless we get rid of fossil fuel reliance altogether, it's just a matter of time. It's more when, not if, we continue to harvest oil and gas in more and more places. And if you look at the map of which countries control the North Pole, as I mentioned, the U.S. only controls a fraction of it. Many other countries have access, and climate change is making it easier to actually go to some of these parts and drill in the North Pole. If the environment is making it easier for people to show up, extract resources, and make money, we have to assume that there are going to be really strong corporate influences at play that are going to do everything they can to dig up those resources. We'll keep an eye on it in the short run. good news, good action taken by President Obama and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Thanks for watching this video. Before you watch the next one, remember, we're raising money to expand the David Pakman Show Big League, as well as expand progressive activism. Go to davidpakman.com/donate. Donations of any size are much appreciated.